This is Bobbi Lane. I'm a commercial photographer and a photo educator. I teach a couple of classes for BPSOP. I teach Portraits Unplugged, which is all natural light portraits, and I also teach a class in posing and directing. Even though I concentrate mainly on portraiture, I've been shooting everything for over 40 years. So I love looking at images and I love being able to help people give a little information about how to make some better photographs. So let's get right into it. Okay. Our first one is the Abiquiu Mission by Sarah Herman. This black and white photograph of the old mission with the crosses there. Now, she's got some really good things, I think, that are happening in here. I love the black crosses. I like the contrast on that. However, a couple of tips I think would make it a little bit better. If she came down at a slightly lower angle, then the crosses would be against the sky, which would separate them more and then make them a little bit more graphic. It'd be a little bit stronger. She's got a good composition with, there's the nice, the pathway that comes up is coming as a diagonal line, and there's the diagonal of the mission, and then stopped by the crosses. And we've also got the rule of thirds going on here, where the horizon line 1/3 from the top. So all of that is working really well. The other suggestion that I would make, and I know that she was on a drive, but later in the afternoon or earlier in the morning, I'm not sure which way this faces, earlier or later light would probably be a little bit better. We do want to have sunlight when we're working on buildings. We want something that's a little harder and more contrasty, but the light's a little flat on this. And I think if you're looking for drama and really trying to pull out the texture and the detail and the feeling, and then adding that drama of the crosses, then that golden hour kind of light, even though it's black and white, it's more about the direction and the quality, I think would really have helped a lot. But overall, I think it's a pretty good shot. Okay, next up is a family photo by Al Hughes. There's a lot of good things going on here. My first reaction to this is that he's got a great rapport with the subjects. He does say that this is his brother-in-law, so he has a relationship with them. But look at all the great, happy, smiling faces here. I mean, that's great. I like that they have similar poses. I like that we've got boots and jeans. Everything is working pretty well. However, I think there's a lot of space around here that isn't really necessary. I'm going to crop this. And I think that I might even want to take a look at this and see if we can make this either a square or a horizontal. So let's give a little bit of a try here. Let's see what happens with the square. Square looks pretty good. I like that. I think that that's let's see what that. Yeah, that's really great. When you have all the space over the top of the head, it pulls the viewer's attention away from looking at the people's faces. And oops, and uh, when you take that away, now you're really into the faces. Plus, we didn't really need to have all the concentration on what they're sitting on. So right now, we've got the composition works much better like this. We're really into the faces. They look happy. All of that's terrific. The other thing that I would recommend here is that even though we're in soft light, there's not a lot of light in their eyes. So what would be really helpful here would either be a reflector that would bounce a little light back in to fill in the light in their eyes, or a very, very soft fill flash. It wouldn't have to be a lot, just a little bit, just to open up those eyes and get a little catch light in there. Because, they look like happy people, and it's nice to have that spark in their eye. So, again, a lot of good things going for this. Just brighten it up a little bit with the eyes, and I think you're in good shape. Okay, the next one we have here is Athena by Sabrina Ropp. And so she was trying to do this feeling of Mount Olympus with this young girl. There's a lot of good things in this. I think that overall, it's really got a nice feeling. I think she's done a nice job with the sky in the background. There's a couple of things that I would like to point out here. And what I would like to say is just a little bit about composition. This line is going right into her head. I think that the girl would be a little bit better if she was either against the sky or against the columns. And this is a big no-no. Cutting off the tips of the fingers, just that little bit, it's just very distracting. It kind of pulls you right out of the frame. So those two little things I think would go a long way to making this a stronger picture. But overall, the feeling is good, the idea is good, the lighting is good, it's all very nice and soft and pretty. And, and the little girl is perfect for this role too. So, good job. Just those couple of tips I think will help. Okay, the next one up is Autumn, and this is by Rambod. I love the black and white. You know, we always think about autumn as having all these bright colors, or at least, you know, we have a colorful scene, even though it could be subdued. So sometimes I think you pick up a little bit of drama when you get rid of that. But when you get rid of the color and you stick with the black and white, then your composition becomes extremely important. Now, there's some things that are going good on this, but I have to tell you that I think that it's really kind of distracting to have this blend into what's going on in the background. I'm not really sure what this is. Is it an old log? Is it a gravestone? He talks about trying to get the feeling of time passing by, but this tonality is blending into the trees in the background, and not having that separation there is, I find it very distracting. It makes me keep looking at this, wondering what's going on. However, I do like the lower angle and coming in and looking at this, and I think that that's kind of cool. And I do like this guy in the background who's, you know, he's moving, so there's a little bit of blur there. However, he still is kind of blending out. He might be better if he was a little bit more forward, so he was a little bit larger in the picture, and maybe separated against this area, so he'd be a little bit easier to see. So sometimes subtle things I think work really well, but this might just be a little bit too subtle. So nice idea, but I think it needs a little bit of work to make it really sing. Okay, this last picture is called The Jaws of Winter, and it's by Gary Gallagher, and I think this is great. I think this is really a terrific shot. How unusual to come across something like this, where you've got icicles that are going up and down. It does look like it's a jaw of a shark or some other creature of the deep. I think that the cool tones on the outside with the warm tones on the inside also really work. It's kind of a spooky picture, but at the same time, I find it really fascinating. I think that it's a very good composition with having the tree trunks kind of giving you the framing, and it's kind of like you're looking into the deep mouth of this toothy creature. So, you know, I think that this one's a real winner. So, Gary, you know, good for you. You did a great job here. Excellent. Okay, that's it. Just want to remind you all there's lots of great classes at BPSOP. And as Brian says, you know, keep on shooting and come on down, sign up for classes, learn a lot of stuff, get some feedback, and make better photos. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.